Right. Hey guys, this is Mike Healy. I'd like to thank everybody for taking time out of their busy schedules to be on tonight's training webinar. Really, I think you're going to get a lot out of this. This is, I think, one of my favorite topics, and it's how to recruit. And just to give you a quick heads up of who I am, that's me on the right, obviously, and that's my awesome wife, STACY. As you can see, I'm married up. I have been in the network marketing profession probably going on 17 years now. We have had literally been blessed to make a few $1 million actually over that period of time in the industry, and it's really been a phenomenal lifestyle change for us. I originally was in the bar business, which is not a business background by any stretch of the imagination, and just kind of mistaked my way into success, to say the least. I mean, I'm literally if you look back at my past, I'm pretty much a rags to riches story. And I can typically prove to anybody by the time I'm done that if Mike Healy can do it, you can do it. So you should be encouraged with that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to jump right into this. I would highly recommend that you have a pen and paper handy so that you can write down the information that I'm going to cover on this call, because this is stuff that I've done consistently for many, many years. I have been in a couple companies, a handful of network marketing companies. I have never not made it to the top of any of those companies, as far as like, definitely in the highest rankings of their promotion levels. In fact, I just recently with my company Evolve, I won a $50,000, pretty much a recruiting contest. I've been in the probably in the last three companies that I've been in the top 10 money earners in those companies. So I have some experience, I have some expertise in it. I'm kind of just letting you know that you'll see that it's what I'm bringing to the table does have some merit to it. Hopefully, now you can see this funny picture I got Homer Simpson on here. This is how I felt when I first started in my network marketing career, coming out of the bar business. I didn't have a clue what to do. I didn't have, I was all excited, but I really didn't have any, direction. I didn't know exactly what it took to make any money in this thing. So I actually had a best-selling CD called "I'm In Now What." I'm going to probably revise that and get it out there again. But it's a question that comes up, and I think it needs to be addressed. So I'm going to jump right into this, and we're going to just cover a lot of things, but I think it's going to be simple enough that you're going to walk away with a game plan and definitely probably some information to help you. Now understand this, that in network marketing, it takes it doesn't take that long really to learn the appropriate skills that you need to be successful, and I want to say that right up front. But the biggest factor that's going to help you achieve your success is in your leadership development. Now, I'm not going to cover that, but I wanted to address that right out of the gates because that is significantly the most important part of that. So I'm going to teach you some basic skills tonight, okay? But understand that the skills are something that you can pick up, and if you run with them, you're going to have results if you do the activities. But ultimately, you will be a big, big time money earner and very successful based on your own leadership development, okay? All right, so that's what I want to address on here. Now, first and foremost, if you're joining network marketing for whether it's your first time, you've been in it many years, or you just haven't had any success, it's real important that you do address and remember why you joined your company, okay? Because you will run into obstacles, okay? You're going to have concrete goals, whether those are short-term goals, medium or long-term goals, because a short-term goal is something I would tell you if you were trying to, like say, hey, I want to contact 10 people this week. Okay, that's a short-term goal. That's something that you can put a price on and you can kind of go forward with. Medium goal would be something I'd say a little over 90 days to maybe a 6-month goal. And then the long-term goal is really how you're going to open up and develop your dream board. Basically, you're going to, like I wrote it down, what I'm going to do, I have a wall right in front of me, in my office, and I'm going to tear everything else off that wall, and I'm going to start putting up different pictures and visual things that are going to help me to look at what I want from a long-term perspective. Okay, so it's real important. These are not small steps that you need to look over. Okay. Now, one of the most important parts of how I believe I've achieved any kind of a success was I mean, I typically do. I have procrastinated a lot in my lifetime, and I'm probably not the only one listening to my voice, but I've learned to do daily plans of action, things that I can control on a small scale, that over a period of time, and there's a great book on this called The Slight Edge. I highly recommend that you go get that right after this if you've never read that, whether it's on audio or the book format, but it talks about the daily plan of action. It's basically that your success in network marketing or in business in general is not going to be a quantum leap. Okay, I just want to break the news to you now. It is going to be a series of small events, series of small actions that you take. Okay, so daily plan of action is something you need to focus on. Now, as somebody starts their network marketing business, this all the years I've been in, this actually comes up a lot. Okay, this question says, how many hours should I work? Well, here's the hardest part for the majority of people that join network marketing to understand is that you are not an hourly employee. Okay, in network marketing, you only get paid for results, not for the amount of time you put in. In the quote unquote career stage, or in the business world, per se, in the secular world, when you're working an hour, you're getting paid by the hour. But the problem is I think that that's not really how the world functions, because you really are only going to make money for results, not time. So the cool part is you can actually get paid obnoxious amounts of money because of so much little activity that was done by a large organization. I mean, that's what network marketing ultimately is. Because if you understand and start to really, really focus on the power of what you're creating, is the power of leverage. And what I mean by that is in network marketing, the power of it is not about you doing all the work. Okay, yes, at first you're the person that has to pick up the shovel and start digging the trench. But eventually, how I used to explain network marketing to people was, if I was to pay you, let's say $100,000 this year, or in the next 12 months, to dig a ditch 10 feet deep and 100 feet long. Okay, you could do that. You probably could, and it would take you long, arduous hours of back-breaking sweat, and you get blisters on your hands. And whether it was hot out or cold out, you would be digging. But the problem is you're still digging as an hourly employee by yourself. The power of network marketing is, all I asked was for the result of giving me a trench that was 10 feet deep, 100 feet long. The power of that is that if you get 10 other people to join you, the same work or the same result got done, but it was leveraged by other people's efforts. Okay. Well, the cool part is that it has nothing to do with how many people that you ask to participate in leveraging or digging your ditch. Okay. Because once you dig the ditch, that's where I'm still going to pay you the same amount of money. So understand that you have to understand these small paradigm shifts in mentally of what you're doing. Now understand this, that you also have to significantly focus on what activities actually make you money. In network marketing, it's very hard sometimes to stay focused on the activities that really count. It's very easy once you get your new fancy smancy 2.0 website super mega system, that you sit there and you go through that the whole time, where you've never even taken the time to do the real activity, which is sitting down in front of somebody and presenting your super mega 2.0 mega transponder system. Okay, so it's real important you remember to focus on the things that make you money. Okay, and that comes down to prospecting, generating leads. Those are your two main activities. Now, also understand that there are always going to be different ways to generate leads. There's going to be different ways for you to get your story out to people. Okay, I call it fishing with many poles and using different bait. There are different types of fish in the sea. Learn that you're going to have to probably use different poles, different spinner rods. You're going to use, some people you can put a little worm on there. Some people are going to have a big fancy, kind of bait on there. Okay. So now let's get into some tips for getting started here. And I'm hoping you're writing these down, because these are things that I have learned, that I've taken, that which seem to be complicated, and harnessed them down or kept them into something very simple. Understand this. I talked to you that I mentioned that success in network marketing is not a quantum leap. Okay, recruiting is a process. It's not an event. 99.9% of the time, anybody I've ever talked to, I've never sponsored them on the first, second, or sometimes even the third time. The average person in network marketing, the statistic out there is that it takes almost 7 contacts, 7 interactions before they close the deal. Okay, now so that means if you hand somebody, if you're using a CD to recruit and you hand it to your person, and that's the only time you ever talk to them, it's a good chance you're not going to put them in the business. Okay, so you got to remember that it's an event, it's a process, it's not an event. Okay, it's going to take you a little time to build the relationships. Now, the other important factor, and this is where I see a lot of newbies, get messed up, or maybe you don't have any success in this field before, is to learn to be the messenger, not the message. Okay, learn to be the messenger and not the message, and understand that you can. What's really neat about this, and what that really means too, is it means use the tools. Use the tools. Whatever tool you like to use, that's the one you should be using. If you get excited about the CD that you've listened to and your company provides, you want to get that CD out to people. If you have a really awesome website and that's what gets you excited about it, then use that. The power of tools is it allows you to go from using a shovel and using your own strength to dig that trench, but literally it creates you to using a backhoe. Okay, that's how significant some of the tools are out there. Whatever it might be. The other thing to remember, it is more important to say less to more people. So if you say less to more people, I guarantee you your numbers will go up. Okay, keeping it simple is numero uno. Okay, you have to keep your message simple. You have to keep your presentation simple, because it allows you to say less to more people. Okay, because ultimately people, a lot of times what they're going to ask themselves, anybody you're prospecting, is they're going to be asking themselves, what do I have to do and can I do it? So here's the thing, something very important to remember is that most people are only going to join you if they believe they can do what you just did to get them to join the business. Okay, so that's real important that you understand it. Most people are only going to join you if they believe that they can do what you just did, in presenting or how you're recruiting or so on, by duplication. Okay, so it's real important to remember that. Now, the other thing is, like I said, it's recruiting is a process, not an event, is that you have to give yourself time to succeed. We've all seen, and I almost put the slide on here, but I think a lot of you have already seen it. I didn't want to take time on it. But, I've done that power of one or the power of two, where, 2 turn into 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, okay? Understand that your business is not going to typically be kicking out gobs and gobs of money in your first 6 to 12 months, okay? You may only be making a few $100s at the end of 12 months, okay? But do not, and I understand that it's easy to get discouraged. You're like, well, look at that guy. Well, please again, don't compare your success with other people, especially depending on, how many years they've been in the industry or what kind of skill level they have. But if you understand that if you just stay with the process, you will get the success, okay? Now, let's kind of move into another vein, okay? Most people in network marketing, they speak of this key phrase, this word called duplication. Well, what you want to do is you want to get people in and you want to get them duplicating. Okay, the problem is if you get people duplicating the wrong things, you're not going to get the results you were looking for. So what I want to cover are the 2 main ingredients of creating a large business. Okay, there's 2 terms we use. One is we call it procurement. The other one we call it processing. Okay, procurement is basically how you generate leads. Okay, processing is what you do with them. Both of them are very, very important. Now the thing is, most of this training is going to cover processing, because I'm very good at that part of it. One of the things that I'm decent at, that I'm still continually working on, is the procurement, how you generate leads. So let's talk about that one first, because this is very important, okay? Because if you don't have any leads, all the other stuff I talk about, how you show the presentation or the plan or what you say to them isn't going to mean squat to you. Okay. Now here's the other thing to think about, and before I go into that part, I'll talk to you. Generating leads is individualistic in nature. This is real important that you understand that. And what I mean by that is, regardless of what company you're in, if you're listening to my call or whatever this is, you're gonna be taught a certain way to probably recruit, okay, or how to get a lead by your upline. Now, if you're an internet person and I tell you to go make a list of your friends and family, even though you went through them with 5 companies in the last 5 weeks, you're going to get a sick feeling in your stomach and you're probably going to quit the business. So I've ruined you right out of the gates. But let's say you are a warm market person and you love talking to friends and family, and I tell you to go use the internet marketing system. Again, I've lost you. So the thing that you have to remember, and this is going to help you as you grow into leadership, because you're going to want to teach these principles. Once I've shown you this, it's now your responsibility to get out there and start teaching it to your teams. Is that when you procure people, when you get leads, people are going to join you, or it's individualistic in nature, meaning that the way somebody generated a lead and enjoyed doing it is how they will typically continue to generate those leads. Real important that you get that one, okay? So if you enjoy the process. Now, let me throw out a few of my favorites, okay? My personality is that I typically don't have a problem talking to my warm market. The reason that probably is due to the fact that when I joined the network marketing profession, the internet didn't exist. The most high-tech thing was a fax machine. Okay, I'm not even that old. I'm only 42 years old, so it's kind of amazing. But if you wanted to succeed, you had to talk to a stranger. You had to talk to a warm market. Okay, and I don't think that that's something you should skip. Here's why people fail at talking to their warm market, though, is going right back to one of the things I said about talking, becoming the message and not the messenger. When you take all of the responsibility of getting somebody in the business based on who you are, you will lose your friends and family every time. I mean, coming from the bar business, that was one of my biggest issues, is I couldn't recruit anybody that I bartended with. What the heck did I know about making money? I mean, they knew me as pretty much party animal, okay? So I had to learn to use tools. I had to third-party credibility. When I did that, that really helped, okay? Now the other things, I'm going to pop up these because I don't want to take too long on them, and I want you to write those as I kind of go through these. Let me go back there. Okay, these are some of the ones that I've done, and I'll touch on some of how I've done them. Warm market. I typically will take my cell phone at any given time, and I'll just start scrolling through my contacts. And I'll teach you what to do with these people as the next process, the next part of this. Okay, so right now we just want to work on getting you some people to talk to. Okay, then we'll tell you how to funnel them through and get them to join you. Okay, so the procurement is warm market. First and foremost, I think that you owe it to your friends and family to let them know what you're doing. Whether they join or not, don't worry about it. Okay, write this down. Focus only on what you can control, not what you can't control. And if you take all the time trying to prejudge people, whether it's going to be something for them or not, you're going to just want to shoot yourself by the time you're done in a couple weeks. Okay, don't leave it up to the opportunity, leave it up to the tool to do the work for you. Okay, just try to get through as many people as quickly as possible. Now, also on internet searches, what that phrase means there is maybe you're trying to target certain people. You have a product that you're going after, or I like to personally talk to people that are like that are coaches, teachers, people that know how to lead people. Okay, that aren't afraid to talk in front of a room. I might go on the internet and do some searches, looking for school directories or things like that, or I might look at other network marketing companies, go online there and look at some of the leaders out there, maybe try to strike up a conversation with them. Some people buy leads. I personally have never bought leads, believe it or not. In all the years I've been in, I really have never needed to. Okay, I've collected business cards from people. I might strike up a conversation. We're having a little talk there, and I'll say, I'd say something like, "Hey, Tony, you ever look at other ways to make money?" I mean, I used to use that phrase right there for years. they'll say one of two things, yes or no. If they say yes, I say, do you mind if I send you an email? And I'll cover that in a second. And I would get their card. I typically would get their card. I like to get a card more than give one out. I will exchange cards with a lot of people a lot of times. Now, social networking is really obviously becoming the big buzz in the last couple of years. I get a lot of leads off of Facebook, not by going out and soliciting people, but just being a person of interest to them, offering cool things, and people will join you if they know you, like you, and trust you. That's the number one thing you need to remember and write that down. People are only going to typically join you if they know you, like you, and trust you. Community groups. There's a lot of great groups you can join, such as the Lions Club. There's a lot of new network marketing or business organizations that are out there. Learn to get there. And again, don't just go in there trying to pitch. Go in there to try to become a friend of people, and you'll get them in quicker. Extended friends. Maybe you have a brother or something that says you're an idiot for doing that. Them network marketing deals, okay? And but you might say, hey, Billy Bob, who do you know that's done this before, or who else has ever contacted you to get them in? Oh, well, that person, Terry. Terry called me about 3 times, okay? So guess what? You get Terry's information through an extended friend, kind of a referral, okay? Other lead programs that happen to exist out there. A lot of companies, or a lot of people do co-ops and things like that. Here's what I tell you. The cool part about network marketing is it doesn't take a lot of overhead to do it. If you learn some basic skills on how to generate leads without paying money to do them per se, and I mean, like not buying leads, but learning how to generate your own, that's when you create an unlimited windfall of success. Because the name of this game is getting people to look at your opportunity. But if you have an unlimited amount of people that cost you nothing to look at your opportunity, the sky's the limit as to what you can make with this. Okay, so there's other thing, online advertising. We use a system within our company, our team actually, our team, the Evolve Life team. We use a system called the My ELT system that is actually a web-based Web 2.0 procurement platform. It teaches people how to do things online, such as how to generate leads on Twitter, Facebook, e-zines, some of the blog sites, and so on. So it's really neat. If you haven't looked into some of that stuff, you might want to do that. Now, let's say we've generated leads. Okay, we've got a list of our friends and family. We got some people we've contacted, and let's move into the next step, the processing phase, because this is really where the rubber meets the road. And I've done this. This is what's kept me in the game and gotten me success, bar none. This is my secret. If you ever wanted to know what Mike Healy does to recruit unlimited amounts of people, this is it. I call it the 5-step action plan, and I'll pull them all up and then we'll cover them individually. First one is prospect. It's very important that the prospecting is what we just did. That goes aligned with procurement. Prospecting is the same as procurement. How I generated a lead. The next step is contact. Number 3 is present. Number 5 is, that's only 4, isn't it? I'm sorry, prospect, contact, present, follow up, and there it is, repeat. I knew I had another one on there. So the 5 steps I use are prospect, contact, present, follow up, and repeat. Now let's break those down. Regardless of how you generated a lead, let's say you have one. You have somebody that okay, that you have their phone number, okay, somebody that you can call. This is exactly what I say, what I have done year in and year out to generate leads, or to generate activity, which turned into reps, which turned into cash flow. Okay, that's it. And I've taught this. When I call somebody up, I generated a lead, I've made a warm market list, or I got somebody from Facebook, whatever it is, my next phase is contacting them as quickly as possible. And here's what I do. When I contact somebody, my number one way I do it is I don't have a problem myself making a quick phone call and asking permission to send them an email. So what I do is I'll call somebody up and I'll just kind of make believe role play with somebody. Ring, ring. Hello. Hey, is this Tony? Yes, Tony. I'm doing your voice, buddy. I know you're on the call here. Um, hey Tony, this is Mike Healy. You remember me? Oh yeah. How you doing, Mike? Good. Hey, listen, I know you're busy, and I'm not going to take up a lot of your time now, but I just wanted to know if you mind, can I have permission to send you an email? Okay, here's what I'm gonna tell you guys. I've never had anybody, I've only think I've had one person in 17 years say no. Okay, and everybody says yes. So basically, I call somebody up, ask permission to send them an email. And the reason I ask permission is this is real important. Is how many of you have ever gotten an unsolicited email? And by the way, what did you do with it? Okay, when I called Tony and asked permission to send him an email, I've shown subliminally and consciously that I show respect to Tony and his time. When I called him, I said, "Listen, Tony, I know you're busy. I'm not going to take up any of your time because I'm making this call very quick because this is all I am doing is trying to get my foot in the door." And I now say, Tony, can I send you an email? Every time people say yes. Now Tony may say, well, what is it, Mike? Well, Tony, I'd love to tell you, but it would be like giving you a haircut over the telephone. That's the exact phrase I say every time. It never fails to get a chuckle. Okay. Now once Tony says yes, I say, Tony, I really appreciate that. I know you're busy. I'm going to jump off here. Is this your proper email? Tony at AOL.com or whatever it might be. If I don't have it, then he gives it to me. Okay. And I'm off the phone. That is it. I literally make those calls day in and day out, day in and day out. Okay, you can contact 10 people an hour, 100 people an hour, 1,000 people, whatever it might be, by doing that. And the significant part of this is all I'm doing is trying to get my foot in the door. Now, I'll explain the psychology behind this. Now, once I have the permission to send it, I send him, which is present. I'm now presenting what I have. And how I do this is through my email. Here's what my email says. Tony, thank you for letting me send you this. I really appreciate it. Click on this link and, click on this link and watch the quick video. Click on this link and, read what I have to say. Whatever it might be, it does not necessarily matter. Okay? Click on this link and check out what I'm into. Whatever it is, and then I say, thanks, Mike. And obviously I have my name and my phone number there and my email. They got it, okay? My only objective is to begin the recruiting process. Again, it's not an event, it's a process, okay? You got to learn patience in this business. So I've prospected Tony. I got him from the gym. I made a contact to him. I called him up. I've now presented him with an email. The next key thing here is follow-up. Now, follow-up doesn't mean my hard close is coming, he's going to join. When I follow up with Tony at this point, the important thing to understand is I'm only following up to build rapport. I'm only following up to build rapport. Now, what I do in this scenario is when I call him, I'd say, hey, Tony, this is Mike. You remember me? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, listen, did you get my email? He's going to say one of two things, yes or no. If he says yes, I say, great. Did you watch the video? Okay, that's a lot of times I send somebody a video, something that has my video on it. And when he says yes, the next thing out of my mouth is this. What did you like best? Write that down. What did you like best? And he will let me know because I now have to let him dictate where our conversation and where this presentation is about to go. Okay? Prospecting is how I generate the lead. I made contact, trying to get my foot in the door, to just get my foot in the door with the presentation of just, a quick email. But the follow-up is the most important part. Fortune's in the follow-up because it's now time to build rapport and walk Tony through the proper steps of introducing him to what we have, okay? So now when I have Tony on the phone and we're talking, the most of the conversation, especially in this first follow-up, is going to be about building rapport. It's all about him. And now understand this, when on that next follow-up phone call, when I call him on the first time and every time, when the phone rings and he answers, I say, hey, Tony, it's Mike. Remember me? Oh, yeah, yeah. I sent you an email. Yeah. Hey, listen, is this a good time? That's typically the first thing out of my mouth. Is this a good time? And then they'll tell me yes or no, okay? And again, I'm always being respectful and I'm always trying to keep them in not panicking that I'm gonna keep them on the phone or anything like that, okay? Now, during my follow-up, I then just go into a series of questions. How did, what'd you like best? And if he starts talking about the compensation plan, I'm not talking about the product. If he's talking about how he hated network marketing, I'm now talking about how I agree with him. But what I have now found is this is why I re-engaged in network marketing. Whatever it might be, is it's just allowing me to find out what his hot buttons are, where he wants to go with this. And then guess what? If you do that with Tony properly, nine times, quite a few times over a period of time, if you just keep that channel flowing and not badgering them, to understand you're not badgering somebody to join, but if you keep that process going, you will then get Tony engaged to make a decision eventually that he's going to want to join your business. And guess what? Once you have him engaged, you now are going to, and hopefully you're not just doing one person a week, you want to repeat the process, okay? So at any given time, I typically have quite a few people in what I call the pipeline, okay? This is why it's easy to go through and make what I do look easy, not because I'm doing anything different or anything, extraordinary. It's just I'm doing the proper activities, but I'm doing more of them. Because if I'm prospecting, generating a lead, somebody I can talk to, and I'm making that initial conversation go to where I want permission to send them send them my link, the email, and then I let the tool do the work, and then I follow up with them and I start building rapport. All I have to do is continue to repeat that process, and every time I get reps to join. Okay. Now this page is, I just wanted to show you, give you an example of what I would send somebody to. A lot of people do ask me that. I mentioned that we have our own system with our organization, our team, and you could have yours, whatever it might be. But I created my own page, and it's my web address is recordbreakinggrowth.com. You're welcome to go look at it. And all it is one big, long, giant page, and the majority of it is about me. Okay, and let me address this. That is the very top of it. If somebody goes there, it's the first thing. And please don't leave the webinar to go look at this yet. You can go to it afterwards. Okay, I know people a lot of times get all excited and they jump, but focus with me here. And you see that I have a little picture of a little kid on there with a big smile, looks with the success on there. He's got a big grin. The reason I put that there is as soon as somebody goes to my webpage, they always love that photo. They go, oh, that's cool. It gives them the right feeling immediately when they look at it. If you were to pull up that page, you would scroll down on it, and what you'd see is the very next thing is I say something along the lines of, first off, what I know for sure is that people only join people if they know you, like you, and trust you. So allow me to properly introduce myself. That's how I start my page. And then what I do is I've got pictures of me and my wife and the kids, some of the things we've done in the industry. I've got some pictures of us at church, because ultimately all the stuff, all the tools, all the things are going to go, and understand that everybody else has got an opportunity out there. Everybody else has got the new greatest network marketing pay plan extraordinaire, hybrid, unilevel, bi-level, whatever. You have to learn to separate yourself from the masses by making yourself somebody people want to follow. And you got to make yourself look a little, I always tell people I try to make myself look smarter than I really am, okay? Because if I'm sending somebody to my website, I'm allowing the tool, letting the website do the work for me, okay? So if somebody goes to recordbreakinggrowth.com, they'll see my web page, they can scroll through there, and they learn mostly about me, and then they understand a little bit about what the opportunity is. Because again, don't forget this, most people are going to join you only if they know you, like you, and trust you, okay? Now, this is something you can write this down. I'm going to speed through this next part. It's what I call minimum MDCs, minimum daily context. I learned this years ago. It made a lot of sense, and I applied it, and it works. It absolutely works every time. There is no rocket. There is no quantum leap in this business. It's a literally. Remember, go get that slight edge tape, by the way. And what I will tell you is, I went and polled at a leaders event one time. It was some of the top money earners, I believe, in the world actually were at this event. And I walked around and I asked them one question, and I wrote down their immediate answer. I walked up to them and I would say, "Hey, such and such, what is the number one thing you would attribute to your success?" I paused, looked at them, and the first thing that came out of their mouth I wrote down. Some of them said it was team. Some of them said it was, I talk to 5 people a day. I do this, I do that. Okay. But out of all the people I polled, 85 to 90% of the people that I asked in one way, shape, or form, their response came back to the phrase consistency. I was consistent. Every single one of them used a different tool. Every one of them had a different CD. Every one of them obviously had a different personality, but ultimately they are all successful, not because they did anything necessarily majorly different, but again, they were consistent. And if you look at what they really were, they had developed leadership qualities that were now attracting people to want to join them, because they learned how to be a good person and people knew them, liked them, and trust them. Now, with this minimum daily contacts thing, I think this is for a part-time person, that somebody that wants to, this is somebody who would like to generate maybe $500 to $2,000 per month in network marketing within this first 6 months to 12 months. Okay. If you do it on a very, very part-time basis of, let's say, just contacting, you're procuring 2 leads a day, and you only do that 5 days a week, and you do the 5 steps I just outlined, you would have contacted 20 people. You would have 20 people per week in your pipeline. Okay, that's what is that? 80 people a month. Let's say you only have a 20% success rate in people closing with you, joining your business. That's literally 4 personals a month. Okay, now, if you've noticed any of the webinars I've ever done or any presentations you've ever seen, or you've all seen the power of 2 or the power of 1, I called it for years, is that if you got a couple and they got a couple and they got a couple, okay, and I'll pull up slides on that, you'll see that exponentially those numbers begin to grow and grow and grow. And the key factor here is guess what? If you show somebody how they can part-time, very, very little bit of effort to this, really, okay, literally somebody can get done that, 2 contacts a day in less than a half an hour out of their life. Okay, do it in the car while you're driving. Pay attention, don't be texting or sending your email while you're in the car, by the way. But if they do that, they will create those minimum daily contacts. And literally over a period of, if you think about it, if you had 80 people that you talk to per month that were in your pipeline over a year's period, that's over what, 400 if my math serves me correctly, which it could not, by the way, that's a possibility. That's a lot of people that you've come in contact with. So it's real important that if you just do the minimum daily contacts, you can have some serious success. The other thing I want to address, and this kind of goes along those same lines, is this is something I think very critical for people to understand, and I call it the tipping point. The tipping point is somewhat of a unwritten law that I kind of call it, if you do it in a certain period of time. Okay, what I mean by that is, if you're in the beginning stages of your network marketing business, your personal input or output is all about you. There's very, very little reward for what you do in the beginning stages. Okay, it is so gut check time. That's why you have to get on the calls that you do, that people do that keep you motivated. You read the leadership books. Okay, because the personal input is going to have to be at its highest point, believe it or not, in the beginning stages when you're building your foundation. Now, the problem is it will take you a while probably to get to about 150 to 200 reps. The thing is, it will take you a fraction, probably less than a quarter of the time, to go from 100 to 200 to 300 reps than it did to go from 0 to 100. And again, it'll take a fraction of the time to go from 500 to 1,000 reps than it did at the beginning. If you understand that the beginning stages of the tipping point is kind of like your launch pad. Okay, if you'll notice, and this was something I learned this weekend, it was pretty cool from somebody the way she put it. It is if you look at a rocket, okay, like the space shuttle or any of those rockets you've watched go off when they send up a satellite into orbit, the most of the fuel and all of the energy and 80% of the fuel is actually burned off on launch, which means that you have to put in your most significant pushes in the first 6 months, 12 months, year of your business to get it off the pad. Okay. But if you notice during all those flights, and if you were sitting in the in the driver's seat of a rocket, it becomes very bumpy sometimes. You're going to get rattled around. G-force is going to push you. You're probably going to want to go to the restroom, let me put it that way, in that period of time sometimes because of the fear that's going through you. But the thing is, as you progress, it's going to move you to the point that you will break through the stratosphere and you break out of the atmosphere, and now you pretty much cruise along. Okay, if you look at some of the biggest money earners today in network marketing, they all had to experience this same rattling point in the beginning stages to get their business off the ground. Okay, so kind of wrapping this up is it is very important, like I mentioned in the very first slide, I think, or first couple slides, is you got to identify your why. What is your why? This is actually a picture of me I took this picture with my iPhone, I believe, just this past week. I happened to go down to I was in the islands. I don't even know what islands they were. I wasn't even really paying attention. I just got on the boat with the family and a bunch of my friends, and we went down to just off the coast of South America by St. Kitts, St. Martin, whatever, St. Lucia. Absolutely lifetime, incredible. Those are my toes with sand on them, and I am taking that sitting on the beach right out. That one was taken at St. Kitts, by the way. St. Kitts is a phenomenal place. I went down there with Ken Dunn and his wife Julie. That's me and my wife Stacy, obviously. It was just a tremendous thing. Juan Carlos Barrios out of Mexico. What's funny is half the time we didn't call each other, our families, by our names, because Ken's from Canada, Juan Carlos is from Mexico, I'm from America, and we'd call each other. We'd go, "Hey, where's the Mexicans at?" And Ken would go, "Where's those Americans at?" Or "Where are the Mexicans?" And I'd go back, "Where's the kids of Canadians?" When we were going to eat dinner and things like that. It was pretty crazy. Cool part was we took all our kids. You've got the Barrios kids to the far left. That's Ken's daughter. That's my son Zeke, Ken's son, and then my son Isaiah and Alexis. Okay, and we all went down to the beach uh, every day. We were 8 days. That's my wife Stacy with a huge grin. We went to the back of the boat there. We had a suite there. We were out on the back of the boat watching the sunset go down. I actually, it was an MLM cruise that was going on there, so they were some of the biggest networkers in the world were actually on this boat. Who had made millions and millions of dollars in the industry. That's Art Jonak, by the way, at there where we doing the thing. And the cool part is with the power of network marketing, if you really grasp it, is we're here we were on the cruise ship with our laptops doing business. Okay, coming up with strategies, how we were going to bring better tools to our team, and how we were going to really expand our organization in the millions. Okay, literally we're going to have organizations into the millions, and we were doing it at places like this. That's again a picture of St. Kitts on the beach. There's me pointing at the rocks there. That day, that was my favorite place. I think that's probably top two places I've ever been in the world. Okay, and we're getting ready to leave the port there. Just absolutely phenomenal. I wanted to show you these photos. I was going to actually put the words over top of these photos, but I figured the pictures might be too distracting. You wouldn't hear the content of what I was teaching. But network marketing is about uh, because in network marketing, here's what you got to understand: is you could have a job, and most people don't have jobs because they're doing something they're passionate about. They're doing it because they just think that's all there is in life. Do not ever forget the phrase I'm about to tell you. There is a huge difference between making a living and having a life. Okay? I want you to have a life. That's why I wanted to do this webinar. I wanted to teach you some skills. Hopefully, maybe I'll get this out on CD sometime or book form, or whatever it might be. But I want you to understand it. My why is my family. And you can see my son Zeke there with his little player pose on going on there. Okay, is it's all about family. It's all about community. It's all about creating the right atmosphere for people to win. And understand that I literally, back to my original point when I started network marketing, I was a broke alcoholic bartender, no direction in life whatsoever. I was so rough around the edges, it was insane, okay? But I just, over a period of time, learned skills, got my act together, met great people, continued to push forward. I continue to push forward, encourage people to continue to win. And I'm telling you, if you do the same thing, it's going to be the greatest journey of your life. And I'm going to leave you with this phrase here by Michael Jordan, because I think it sums it up. It's one of the greatest phrases. He says, I've missed over 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed. If you'll take on that, if you look at him, he's not remembered anymore for any of those missed shots. He's remembered for those great shots he took at the buzzer to win. His work ethic, his consistency is what created him to be one of the greatest players of all time. And if you look really at the greatest success stories and the greatest leaders in history, typically wasn't because they had a lot of, much more skill than most people, but they learned those skills over a period of time. They educated themselves on the profession they were in, and they really made a commitment that over a period of time they were consistently taking the right actions, moving forward, and they were going to succeed. So hopefully you got something out of this. I do appreciate you being on here, and I will see you at the top.